Hey friends, check it out. I have the brand new Glassboard Studio Scrapbook craft mat. And I feel like that's a little bit of a misnomer because I think they've thought about card makers too. Because, in fact, I almost feel like they've thought about card makers more, but you can be the judge of that. One of the things that's really cool with this is that the lines are darker and there's a lot more of them. So here are some notable things. It's going to be a little bit hard for you to read, and I can't fit the whole thing on screen just with the way my camera is set up. But the reason why this is great for scrapbookers is because it's actually 12 inches by 24. So you can actually put two sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock next to each other. So if normally the way that I like to decorate, say like a mini album, is I like to decorate it as a 2-page spread. And I think scrapbookers enjoy doing that as well, because when you open to any given page, you see the back of the other of your previous page and you see the front of your next page. And because the two are going to be visible at the same time, often it's really nice to actually design both pages, both layouts, so that they look good when they're both being looked at the same time. And so that's why it's a little bit nice to have a glass board like this that has these dimensions, because then you can really fit both layouts. Whereas the glass board that I typically craft on, it's actually only it only goes out to 22 inches by 18, so it's sort of a different aspect ratio. This is 24 wide by 12 tall. Now, why I think this is great for card makers as well is, if you look here, they actually have guidelines for where your A2 size dimensions are in both vertical and horizontal, or portrait and landscape. They've got 5x7 here. They have 4.5 by 6.25. I'm not too sure what size that is, if that's a typical card size. 4.5 by 6.25. But they have slimline 3.5 by 8.5 in both. And for each of these very typical, well, I feel like 3 out of the 4 of those are very typical. You have it in portrait and landscape. So if you are trying to lay out your card and maybe try to get it in, find the middle point and whatnot, you can always line it up to this section of your craft mat, and you can use the guidelines on it. And then over on this corner, which you're not going to see the whole thing, but they've got some very standard photo sizes. So you have 2x2, 3x4, 4x4, 4x6, and 5x7 in both landscape and portrait. So it's really nice that that you've got those sizes down as well, especially if you do like to cut on your craft mat, because you can always just put, say, like a 4x6 photo, you can put it where the 3x4 is if you want it to really kind of crop into just a particular section of your 4x6. You can use your craft mat as a guide for cutting it down to size, so that it will go on your layout where you want. And that is one of the nice things. If you are doing like one layout at a time, you can have your layout on this side, which is kind of nice because this is magnetic, so you can use your pond magnets and all of your fun accessories, and you can hold down your layout. I often use my pond magnets to audition pieces on my card. So you can do that with your scrapbooking layout as well, where if you kind of have an idea for how you want to decorate it, but you're not 100% committed yet, the pond magnets are really good because then you can kind of temporarily just hold something down where you think you might like it, and then continue to play around with it, audition different layouts, etc. So really love that, and it's so wide and expansive that it's nice to have your full 12 by 12 on one side, and maybe you're trimming and doing photo mats on the other side. So that's really nice too, whether you're using both sides to create your 2-page spread, or you're working on one layout at a time and you're using the other half of the space to create your elements that you're going to be decorating with. Then there's like a multitude of other lines going on here, which is kind of interesting. So you have these diagonal lines at different angles. So there's your 45-degree angle. You also have a 30-degree angle and a 60-degree angle. So again, if you like to cut on your mat, you can use these diagonal lines as a guide. So for example, you could, starting here, if you wanted to cut, say, a square that's maybe 6 by 6, you would just put your square here and then line up your ruler on that diagonal line, and then you can just cut along that diagonal line and you would get a perfect 45-degree line. And some of these other diagonal lines, you want to make sure that you're looking at which corner they radiate from, because that's the corner where you'll want to put your piece of paper if you're trying to cut something that's at those particular angles. So from this lower right hand corner down here, because all of these come to a point down here. So if you want to cut like a 30-degree angle from a piece of paper, then you want to put your piece of paper in this corner and then lay your ruler down on whichever line you want. So this is 30 degrees, 45, and 60. And whether you're left-handed or right-handed, I feel like they took that into account, because you have your angled lines radiating from the lower left corner on this side, as well as from the lower right going this way. And same with the 45. So you've got a 45-degree angle going this way and one going that way. So whichever way it's more comfortable for you to cut, you can use, they're mirrored. So you can use whichever side is going to be safer and more comfortable for you. So I love that. And of course, it's got all the same really amazing properties that the Glassboard craft mat has. It's under, it's got a metal sheet underneath, so it's fully magnetized. It has a 1/4-inch thick glass, so really strong, really substantial, and just gorgeous. Super easy to clean up if you're doing some inky techniques on here. And with this one, I feel, at least compared to the one that I have, which is their True White, this, I feel like the lines are much bolder, so they're very, very legible. And I almost feel like, let me line it up and just see. So one of the things that I mentioned in my first look video, and actually in my recent holiday gift giving guide video, sometimes when you're looking at this at an angle, because the lines are under glass, there's a little bit of an optical illusion. It's always best if you can get right over top and look straight down. And let me see. So from my angle, this looks a little bit off. Let's see. Now if I move this so that top down, what my camera is seeing, that looks spot on, but it looks really off from my angle. So I think there's still that aspect to it. And what I'll do is, because I always find this a little bit difficult to describe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of what I see from where I'm sitting. And I'm going to put that on screen so that you can see what I mean. From my angle, it does not look like this is hitting this bottom line here. But it actually is if I'm looking straight down onto it. And so I feel like that's a factor of the lines actually being below the glass. And so just depending on, where you're looking, what angle you're looking at, the line isn't actually touching, the whatever it is you're trying to measure. So it can be a little bit of an optical illusion whether something really meets up. So if you're using this and you don't have the benefit of being able to watch an overhead camera like I can, then you'll want to really be right on top of it and look at it from as straight down as possible, as opposed to maybe where you're seated, because if you look at it from where you're seated, and if I were to try to line this up with like one of the horizontal lines, that right there looks lined up to me. But now, as you can see it on camera, it's actually maybe 1/8 of an inch off. So that's the difference there. And I'll try to pop a photo up on screen so that you can see what I mean. But I really feel like for somebody who's using this for scrapbooking, that probably isn't going to be much of an issue, because you're not going to have a problem with looking right over top. I have, I can't do that because my camera's in the way, but I do have the benefit of being able to see what my camera is seeing. So it's really not that big of a deal for me either, but it is something to be aware of though, because if you're not aware of it and you're looking at it at an angle, some of your measurements might be off. So that is a look at the new Scrapbook craft mat. It's available now if you want to check it out, and I'm gonna leave my my affiliate link in the description box, and as well I do have a coupon code. It's just LV, and every day you can always use that code for 15% off at Glassboard Studio. So that's always going to be available for you. So if you are shopping at Glassboard Studio and you are a scrapbooker, check this out. See if it's something that you might like to craft with. Thanks so much for checking out my video today, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.